We're live, everybody. Hey, how are you? How are you? Good to see you. Peter Clark here, Red TV in conversation. In conversation today, all day long. That's what we're doing live. Thanks for joining me today. How are you? More importantly, you good? I hope you're good out there, everybody. So appreciate you tuning in. We got an amazing show today. Gosh almighty, I don't even know where to start. We're going to be pumping out so much cool stuff, inspiration, information, education, all of the stations, all of that stuff we're going to be doing. Look at that soul over there. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to talk about a really important subject that, again, these stories are so personal, and we always want to make sure we do them justice and do them right. And I'm so appreciative that this fine soul reached out. Well, I reached out to her, but I don't know what we did, but I just said, hey, let's do something. Let's do something. And she was kind enough to give me the honor of doing that. Hey, where are you tuning in? Let us know if you're in the comments, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on YouTube, all those kinds of things, all kinds of those platforms. Put in the comments there where you are, what you're doing. Like I said, I so appreciate you being here. I'm going to put a little stuff along the bottom there, a little bit where you can find me, Red TV. You know what I don't do very well? I don't know if anyone experiences this themselves, but this is the only thing I'll say about myself. I'm really bad at self-promotion. Do you ever notice that? I don't know about you, but like, I'm really bad at that. I don't say, hey, come visit me here, come see me here, come buy this from me. I don't do that. I'm going to try to change that. I don't know how to do it, but I'm starting now. Just, hey, redtv.ca. You can go to my website and you'll learn a little bit more. You can see in the background there, 347 The Juice. That's my radio station. Yeah, I got a radio station. So I love jumping on the radio station, playing music, having conversation like we're doing right now. In real time. That's what we love to do around here. That's what we do. Let me just see a few comments here. Who's here? Let's see. Look at Marcello. How are you, buddy? Marcello, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in from the Atlanta area. There it is. Oh, see, he was way ahead of me. Atlanta, Georgia. There it is right there. We have I just dropped something there. Did you hear that? Oh, I'm sorry I did that. You know what it was? I'm just going to tell you what it was. I should reach down and get it in a second. It was my I love anyway, doesn't matter what it is. Let's keep moving on here. Oh, good to see you in Illinois. Good to see you. I so appreciate you tuning in. John, thanks, John. Bangor, Maine. I think, John, I told you this before, but I used to live in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, which is Bangor and Yarmouth. You get the ferry across and all that stuff. Yeah, right there. I know exactly where you are, my fine friend. So I appreciate that very much. Hey, let's get a few more. Oh, look at Melody. Melody is saying hello. I know she likes Elaine a lot. I know. Thank you, Melody, for tuning in. She's always on 347 The Juice too, by the way. So appreciate that. And there's Daniel. I just met Daniel, I guess, online. We haven't really met, but I just saw his name for the first time in the last couple of days and stuff. And he tuned into the radio station from Luxembourg. I was like, he was on his way to the gym in Luxembourg. I was like, I didn't even know you could get the station over there, to be frank with you. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. And this must be somebody. Oh, look, South Carolina in the house. I know someone else from South Carolina in the house right over there. Yeah. She's cheering. She's happy. There's somebody else who's tuning in here. Oh, from Oshawa, Ontario. I know exactly where you are. I used to live in Toronto for many, many years and had family members that lived in Oshawa. So I know exactly where you are. Yeah, exactly where you are. I got to get out more, apparently. I got to get out more. All right, let's just jump to the show. We have so much to cover today, and I can't tell you how much this means to me, what we're going to be doing and what we're going to be talking about. I'm coming in with a lot of energy right now, and we're talking, but this is a serious subject, and I don't want to take away the seriousness of it. And at the same time, I think we can also talk about it very respectfully and show the dignity and honor that it requires. And at the same time, it's an inspiring story. So it is uplifting, and it's not a sad story. It's one of overcoming. It's a fantastic story. So my good friend Elaine is joining us here today. And this story is not just about surviving cancer. It's not about that at all. It's about advocacy. It's about informed decision making is what it's about. Reclaiming your agency is what it's about. And this is something that she did in this journey. And I'll just set it up very quickly for you. She was diagnosed on July 15th of 2022 with a really aggressive form of breast cancer. And it was only within a few weeks, a couple of weeks, I think, that she underwent bilateral mastectomy. So I'll leave it there. I'll let her tell the story, but that kind of sets it up for what it is. So this story is very inspiring and powerful. It's about trusting your voice. When the stakes really matter, navigating the fear that you're going to go through. And if people are out there right now, either have family members or maybe you are dealing with cancer of some sort, there's fear, there's uncertainty. You get lots of different medical advice, conflicting medical advice. It's also about choosing a path, is what it is, aligned with whatever you believe to be true for yourself. And I think that's what you're going to find in this story, in this conversation. And really, it's all about redefining or defining for you what healing can look like for you. And I think that's just an amazing background and backdrop for us to bring on. I'm telling you, this is a super cool soul. We met, I can't even remember exactly how we met. It was through LinkedIn. And we've been private messaging them for years. And she was around when I was going through my medical stuff. I have had some medical stuff, and she was kind enough to reach out to me during her journey. And we would exchange information and just conversation and stuff. And that's where trust comes in, and that's where friendship comes in. And I'm so honored that she decided to come here today with us and hang out for a little while. I want to say hi to my good friend, Elaine Glencoe. How are you? Oh, got you. Oh, we're not got you. Hold on. One more time. Try it again.
All right, Peter, I am so excited to be here. And I'm going to request to do something. I did not ask you this ahead of time, but
you didn't?
Because I know you're not good at promoting yourself. I am going to promote you just for a little bit because you do fantastic work. And I just want everyone to know that if you need someone who does something that Peter does, I will tell you excellence is what you're going to experience from Peter. So thank you, Peter. I know you didn't like it, and I didn't ask you for permission because you would have said no. But
you are so right. Listen, I super appreciate that. Good to see you. Good to see you. You are looking great. And so first of all, you're feeling good. You're healthy and you're well.
Yes.
And
yes, absolutely.
And generally the people in your life, good. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where we always want to start. We always want to start with that. And, again, I appreciate the fact that you came here or were willing to, come on and talk about this. And as you said to me privately, you said, if one person gets something out of this, that could make them rethink their approach. Maybe they can give this information on or pass this information on to somebody that's dealing with it right now in their own lives. It will be well worth it. And I feel the same way. And I know that you can't throw a fridge and not strike somebody who has dealt with cancer in some form, somewhere, somehow, some way in a lifetime. And so this is one of these conversations that is required. And of course, we're going to be talking about breast cancer specifically. So although it still does, believe it or not, and I know you know this, but it does occur in men. Obviously, not obviously, but it's predominantly a female, sort of disease, and the conversations are normally around females. So for everyone involved, listen, it's just only half the world's population we're talking about. Your mom, your sister, your wife, your partner. There's somebody that is affected by this somehow, some way. So I just want to jump. We got so many people here shouting out to you. Like, I just so love the fact that people are just kind of tuning in. And here's I heard of this person. Look at this person. Jacqueline Way, how are you? Yeah, good to see you, Jacqueline.
Love Jacqueline.
Yes, you guys got a lot of stuff going on. We'll talk about that maybe at the end of the show. 365 Give and all that kind of stuff. So we appreciate you being here. Hey, look at this fine, young, good-looking fella here. Daniel Hall, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. I so appreciate that. Again, so many people tuning in. And you might know this person, you said. Or
I do. She is my fabulous coworker. I love Miss Courtney Mims.
Oh, that's nice of her to tune in and support that kind of stuff. That's fantastic. Yeah. And she probably knows your story as well. That is for sure. She probably knows that. Let's jump right in because there's just so much going on. I set it up very, very quickly with the diagnosis that happened on July 15th, 2022. And, within a couple of weeks, you had a bilateral mastectomy. So I want you to go back to that moment. Take us back to when you first heard that diagnosis and maybe what it was, but more importantly, and I would love for you to kind of explain how did that feel? Not just physically, but the emotional journey that, wow, someone just told you something like that. So take us back to when you first got that diagnosis.
I'm going to say I think my journey varies a little bit because, as some people know, I was a speech language pathologist working in hospitals for 16 years. So I had been around the medical community for that length of time. And so there were things that were happening in the appointments coming up to my diagnosis day where I knew, based on how things were going, that this was likely to be my diagnosis. So I think that helped prepare me emotionally. I'm going to say something really interesting for me happened inside my brain, and that was that I wasn't so worried about dying. I was more concerned, had I used the life that I had had enough? That was my thing, was, had I had enough positive impact on those who are around me? And that was what really haunted me and just kept playing in my brain. Had I had enough of a positive impact on those around me between July 15, when I was diagnosed, and then August 18, when I underwent my first surgeries?
Wow. I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting to hear that. I mean, so again, I'm going back to that first hour, 2 hours, 5 hours. Someone's telling you, hey, this is what's happening. It's extremely serious. And of course you were getting more information as you went along, and we'll jump into that. But your mind went to, have I lived my life? Where do you think that question came from? Because I'm just being transparent. I don't know if that would be my first. It is, because I had a heart thing, so I know what it feels. I think you're leaving the planet. It's a really, really not a fun thing. And I did think like that, but I was thinking about surviving, and I was thinking about my family like that. But you went to, wow, have I really lived? Where do you think that came from? I wonder.
I had a lot going on in my life. I had just moved across the country from all of my family and my friends then for a job in an industry I'd never been in. And so I think I was really going through like everything in my life to date. And had I really lived? Had I really shared my true voice? I was just getting into coaching as well. Had only been in it for a few years. And one of my coaching friends, we were talking about something one day, and I said, hey, here's some tips from my speech pathology world. And she said, did you hear the shift in how you sound, that authoritative, that voice that you are using? She goes, I really hope that you'll continue to work on having that voice show up in your coaching. And so I think for me, I wanted to know that I was fully living into my life and fully being who I was supposed to be and fully impacting those around me, because that matters to me. I'm going to say I honor everybody who has children. I do not. And I think people are amazing who that's something that they invite into their life. I do not have children. So for me, my legacy is the people whose life I touch, who are around me. And I think that's why it was so important to me.
Wow. That's powerful. That's a very powerful a message. I would love for you to share a little bit of the detail, though, of the gravity of what we're speaking about right now. So again, you were diagnosed. I mean, I have your full story here, which is just unbelievable. I know you have put in an article into an organization who hopefully will print this or share it within the medical community, right? It's going to be shared. And so you were very kind to share some of the information here with me. But can you describe to people a little bit what the gravity we're talking about here? Because I mean, literally, you were told, a percentage of, what your possibility of staying alive was, and these things. I want people to understand what we're talking about here.
Absolutely. So I went in for just a standard mammogram, your annual standard mammogram, and they called me back and they said, we think we saw something. Of course, no one wants to hear that. So I said, let's get my reports and things sent out from California where I'd moved from, just so we can have to compare them, make sure we're not, freaking out about something that wasn't necessary. And then on July 5, I was in for my second mammogram, and they came in, the radiologist actually came in and was going over and over and over one spot. And I finally looked at her and I said, I've worked in hospitals. I know what it means that you're here. And I said, you can either talk to me about what's going on and what you're seeing, because I can feel something when you keep going over that one spot. So we can either talk about it or I can read it in your report. And she said, I want you to be seen by a surgical oncologist right away. And I want you to get biopsies done. And when you have the biopsies done, I want them to do this, this, and this. And she said, I want them to do 3 different biopsies. On July 5, they had seen it kind of in the center of my left breast. And by the time I had the biopsies done on July 14, it had spread from the center all the way out to the left side. And I had an MRI done the last week of July. And then I went to England for work and had my pre-operative appointment with my surgical oncologist via Zoom. and so
life kept going. Yeah, but you had to with this mentally and physically. Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so it was a lot. I will say a lot of really painful procedures. I wanted to touch back on what you said earlier. One of the people sitting in the waiting room with me when I was going in for my biopsies was a man who was in to being assessed for breast cancer. So yes, it does. And that's why in my comments leading up to this, I have just said for people who are on their cancer journey, because I know that it impacts both genders. So for anyone out there, this story is for you. So when I underwent the bilateral mastectomies, something that I forgot to share with you, Peter, was that I was told that I wasn't going to have the surgery until probably October or November. And they had told me, because of how aggressive it was, the third week or the last week of July, when I had the MRI done, it had showed that it had spread to all 4 quadrants of that left breast. So within 2 weeks, we had gone from it's kind of in the central area to it's everywhere on that left side. And they were concerned it had already started spreading out. So they said to me, we can't get you in on the surgical schedule until probably October, November. And we're not sure you'll still be alive by then. And so that I will say was pretty emotional for me, feeling that sense of, well, like, what can I do? Is there anything I can do? And I will say it was the miracle that 2 days before my bilateral mastectomy surgery was actually done, they called me and they said, the woman who is scheduled for Thursday just got tested positive for COVID. So now she can't have her surgery for another month. Can you make Thursday work? This was Tuesday morning, the 16th of August at like 10:30 in the morning. And I went,
yeah. I have to make a decision here.
I'm a planner.
Wow. Again, when you think about, call it luck, if you will, or fortunate timing, these kinds of things. But I want to go back to what you just said, the medical outlook. What were they saying to you? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, in some of the notes I read, I mean, they're talking like 10% chance of surviving unless you did the normal approach. Talk to me about, these strong medical recommendations that you got, because obviously they were saying, this is what you need to do. You have to do it this way. And yet you chose a different path. And I'll get you to explain that path in a little bit, but explain that a little bit. Like, again, the severity of, they said 10%, 18, all that stuff. I think I really want people to hear that you were facing exactly that, which is, we don't know if you're going to be here when we can get you in for surgery.
Yeah. So they had told me that I had a plus 10% chance of survival over doing nothing. So that's where the plus comes from. And I asked, if I do chemotherapy, radiation, and hormone suppression therapy, is that 30%? And they said, no, it's 10% if you do 1, 2, or 3 of the treatments. And I don't know about you, but 10% doesn't sound like a lot to me. And so being someone who has some medical insight, I wasn't real happy about the side effects of any of those treatments. So I chose to push back, and I chose to say, I want more information before I make this decision. And they were telling me that if I didn't do anything, that I had about an 18-month chance of survival. And that wasn't even guaranteed, even if I did it, that I had plus 10% greater chance of survival to 18 months if I did 1, 2, or 3 of the treatments.
Wow. And what were those risks that you saw? So you said the 10% doesn't sound very, very positive, with or without it. And so when you were weighing it, you must have weighed obviously the risks. What were some of those that out for you? You said, if you're telling me it's only 10% if I do it, yet here's the risks. What were they, so that people understand, what you had to decide?
So chemotherapy, I'll start with that one. That was the first one that they asked me to consider. Chemotherapy has a permanent side effect of cognitive deficits. Its colloquial term is called chemo brain fog, and it is something that is permanent and it will last the rest of your life. And for anyone who knows me, they know I'm a nerd, and that wordplay and having a good grasp of language and learning other languages, that's super important to me. And so if I was going to lose my ability to think clearly for myself, I needed to have a really good benefit to offset that particular risk factor, and 10% didn't sound like it for me. The other things, of course, I'm going to say this as you and I sit here with our fabulous hair, both of us, but losing your hair is a big one that goes with chemotherapy. Also, it's very, very hard on your filtration, your kidneys and your liver. And so I had concerns about, would this impact my life negatively going forward for however long I was going to live? So that was a big risk factor for that. For radiation, I only met with a radiation oncologist once. And she said, because the breast cancer, it was on your left side, she said we would have to radiate right over your heart, which would damage your heart, which will also give you not the ability to exercise as extensively as you might like to. I love hiking. I love being outside, being super active. And I have friends who accuse me of taking them on death marches because I like to power walk up mountains and all of that. And she said, you won't be able to do that. And your likelihood of living a full life is very, very abbreviated. So she actually said, which I really appreciated, the risks outweigh the benefits. So I don't think you should do radiation. And then for hormone suppression therapy, I was offered 2 different varieties. And one is known to have a risk factor of causing ovarian cancer. And the other one has a risk factor of causing uterine cancer. And I was let's go with reticent to want to bring on another type of cancer in trying to treat my first type of cancer.
Wow, I'm overwhelmed hearing that stuff. Like if someone was telling me that, to try to grasp all that at the same time and to navigate what literally it means. I just want to emphasize that to anyone listening to that it's going to feel like that, right? I mean, you had some background and knowledge and like you said, if they didn't talk to you about it, you'd read about it. You probably have already covered some of it in the past, but for anyone who hasn't done that, it's going to be overwhelming to hear all of that. But again, the key there is to, take a lot of notes, write everything down and be able to do what you just said. Say, okay, if I do this, then these risks go up. Am I willing to trade that? You touched upon the heart thing. I mean, anything you talk about your heart, I mean, again, that's overwhelming. And I can relate because I've been there. I know exactly what that feels like when like if something else is not working, you kind of deal with that. But if your heart or your brain, I mean, if those two things are, it's not working, you're not working. It's overwhelming to hear that information. I'm wondering, how you navigated that. If you think about, the trust that you had to have in, first of all, the medical information you were getting. So you had to trust that they were knew what they knew, which they did, and they were telling you this. They were trusting in what they thought was the right process. But and then of course you have to take that trust and then what and versus the fear. So I'm wondering how you navigated that, between the trust and fear, because the fear of the unknown versus the fear of your own instincts. Can you dial in how you navigated that for anyone who's thinking about, wow, do I trust my own judgment? In other words, how did you navigate that?
I think I'm going to say, for anyone out there who's facing this, there is a lot of fear around something that you don't know what's going to happen. And so I really want to be empathetic with that. For me, I have a different, set of circumstances. Like I said, I don't have children. So that wasn't something that I was thinking about. What I would say is something I said to my patients in the hospital is, you have the patient's right to choose or refuse anything that's offered to you. And to maintain that, physicians know a certain amount, and that's great. And we go to them as an expert in that area. But you go home with yourself. You go home with your own body. And the decisions that you make, those side effects and those kinds of things, they impact you and not your physician. And that's not meant as any disrespect. But a lot of my physicians, when I questioned them on it, said, well, one of my medical oncologists said to me, she said, I'm just really excited that we're able to save 1 out of every 10 women now. And I looked at her and I said, you know that this is the only industry where a 10% success rate is considered okay. I said, if I were to go to someone and ask them to build a house for me, and they were to tell me, 10% of our houses don't fall down and kill the inhabitants, I would go, yeah, I'm going to go see someone else to build my house.
Right.
So it's recognizing that we are very complex beings. Our brains are super complex. Our bodies are super complex. We know a lot, but we don't know everything. I'm going to say a funny side note here, Peter, and that is one of the things that I said to my physicians was, we need to talk about the rare side effects. And I had doctors say, that only happens to 5% of people. And I said, I represent less than 2% of the world's population. We're going to talk about the rare side effects. I'm already a rare side effect.
Okay.
So it was.
Are you saying there? People understand. What are you saying there, though, that people need to understand what you were putting 2 to 2 together there? Why are you? I have a higher risk. Why is that again?
So for most pharmaceutical company testings, where they go through the clinical trials, they test a certain demographic.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily even include, in my case, a redhead. Redheads are known to have differences in how we absorb anesthesia and those kinds of things. So for me, when I look at something and I say, these rare side effects only apply to 5% of the population, what I heard was that may not have even included a redhead in that sample. So I am already a rare side effect is how I describe it. So it is important for us to recognize that you may not be represented in the sample demographic that medication was assessed on.
Right. See, and I mean, that wouldn't even dawn on me to think, you're referring to like a redhead, for example. I'm thinking, what would that have to do with anything? But it has to do with the sample size of all of the data that they've collected in the past. And you wonder, was I in that data? Am I represented in that data? Wow. Right. See, that right there, that's a really critical thing that I hope people hear, that try to figure out when you're navigating. I mean, there's so much information to navigate that wouldn't come off the top of the average person's head. So I hope anyone who's researching and doing their own homework to think about themselves that way, that they're representative in the data that's being offered to them. Wow. Hey, I just want to make sure that there's so many people tuning in to see you here. And I just want to make sure that they're acknowledged. And Jacqueline, again, you continue to touch everybody, touch us all every day. So much more to give. So that is fantastic. Good to see Kenneth here. How are you, my fine friend? Good to see you. I appreciate that very much. And never knew that about chemo and its cognitive effects. And, when you were talking about that, Elaine, my brother-in-law, who passed away from cancer in 22, he experienced that, and I experienced watching that sort of unfold, and it changed to me. It almost changed the personality of the person. I mean, you called it like a fog. Boy, the ability to have. It just changed him. My experience was it changed this person. And so I so relate to what you just said there. So here you got some more people from checking in. Do you know Coach Carey? I don't know Coach Carey, but welcome, Coach Carey. Good to see you from Indiana, tuning in here. Appreciate that. Elaine, you look fabulous. Look at that. And your vulnerability is amazing. I mean, how cool is that? I mean,
thank you, Armstrong.
And Jacqueline, you're so right. I mean, it is so toxic. I mean, the idea of what you talked about is that the treatment is actually risky to cause other things, and you're thinking, wow, what is that trade-off? I feel for people who have to make those decisions. So here's another one from Melody. I appreciate that. Why do doctors want to discuss the side effects? You probably heard so many of the side effects. Or probably, I mean, if you didn't understand, because you have a better understanding, I wonder what the average person must be feeling. I mean, quite overwhelmed, wouldn't you think?
Yes. And when you are approaching cancer from the standpoint of being fearful, for most people, the fear of death is pretty strong. We have reasons to live. We have reasons not to want to die. And so every decision that we make is a risk versus benefit. And it almost, I think, can feel trite to say, well, but we can help you have a greater chance of living, so it doesn't really matter your quality of life. And that's something that I will say that I really drew from my experience in the hospitals, is seeing that the medical community in general, part of it is litigious in ideology, in the background of it, is that they are so afraid to be sued that they will do absolutely everything to keep you alive, even if your quality of life isn't very good. And so again, I'm making a gross generalization. I'm not saying all doctors are that way, but in like the big overarching theme is we need to keep people alive. Longevity is more important than quality of life. So for me, I said to my doctors, it's more important for me to be able to fully live and have that quality of life, even if it's only 18 months.
Wow. And again, so you really had to trust the core of who you are, the core of the things that you believed in, the things that you valued, which obviously, not obviously, but I bet it wasn't very popular amongst people really close to you. They might have, what kind of feedback were you getting from people saying, hey, your doctor told you to do this and you're telling me you're not? Talk about that tension, because that obviously is another thing that people will deal with when they're making decisions for themselves or other loved ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it lots and lots of times in years working in hospitals, is whenever you're making a decision for yourself that might, from someone else's perspective, abbreviate your life, and they don't see you as doing everything, trying everything, it can be a sense of judgment of, I'm not doing enough to try and stay alive. And so am I being unloving to those around me? And I will say my favorite uncle is an ER physician. And I reached out to him and I said, here are the side effects and I'm not willing to go through with it. Here's what I'm considering. And I could, feel the hesitation in, I'm a proponent for helping support your health in other ways, but maybe we could still consider some of the standard ways. And I said, I appreciate this, but this, and this. And he went, oh, I hadn't considered that. Now, obviously, I guess I have the justification of here I am 3+ years later and I'm still alive and I'm in full remission. So, I get to be the little tiny bit of I was right. But, not everyone has that. So
no, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I think there's just this, again, this unbelievable courage that you had to muster. I think that especially, I'll speak for myself. If I'm speaking to somebody who's saying, Peter, like we've done this literally thousands and thousands of times. We've seen tens of thousands of whatever their numbers are. It's never dozens. I mean, there's lots of data that if they were telling me this, I just wonder, if I would have had the courage or the wherewithal to say, that's not for me. And you feel that pressure, like you said. I mean, if you're married, for example, how do you go to your spouse and say, I don't know if I want to go down that road. What do you think? Or if you had children, hi kids, this is where I'm at. What do you think? That's a very powerful thing. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Let's talk about this whole turning point, because the turning point is that you decided I'm going another route. So can you start describing to us what that decision making was? And you obviously advocated for yourself that I'm going down this road. And I think that road involved a lot of things that, if you think about it, we should be doing it anyway, taking care of ourselves and stuff. But you went on a really a journey of finding this information. I know there was a book involved and things like that. So start talking to me about how you redefine this healing process and the path that you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, Peter. About the chemotherapy, I insisted on it's a brand name, but it's the one that's common here in the US. I know that there are other tests by different names, but the test is called oncotyping, and it's basically similar to when they take bacteria and they test antibiotics on it to see, will that antibiotic work on that bacteria? So they take a sliver of the cancer that they remove from you and they test chemotherapy on it to see if it would be effective. And I was told that test is way too expensive. We're not going to do it. This is the standard of care chemotherapy for someone your age and gender and type of cancer. And I said, I don't care. The side effects are too great. I want you to prove it to me. So the medical oncologist actually refused to order the test. He said it's too expensive. So I said to my surgical oncologist, I said, well, I'm not doing chemotherapy without it. So it's up to you. And so she said, okay, I'll order the test. And so she did. And it came back that it would have been 0% effective for my cancer.
Wow. Zero, like no, in other words, like, again, literally, if you didn't do it, there would be no difference whatsoever. Wow. Yeah. Can I ask you, just for people who give some sort of, again, these decisions that you're making, cost wise, what are we talking here? Are we talking we're not talking a couple $100, right? Like we're talking a lot of money, right? Can you tell me? Or is that too, if you,
no, it's fine.
You don't have insurance.
Yeah, if you don't have insurance, it's a really big difference. I blessedly did have health insurance. Here in the US, it's different than in Canada and other places, but I did have good insurance, and the insurance did cover it based on the testing that I had done prior. Had I not had the mammogram and, biopsies and, MRIs and all of the things done to prove, yeah, this is actually moving pretty quick, and my chances of survival are pretty low. So gratefully, my insurance did choose to cover it. So I can't actually tell you how much it is. I will say it's thousands.
Right.
So what I will say, this is just going to be a total side note for people here in the US. If you don't have health insurance and you go to see a doctor or a hospital or anything, ask them what the cash discount price is. And they typically will give you what an insurance discounted rate is. not always if you don't ask for it. So that's just my little public service announcement, knowing from the medical community, ask for that. If you don't have a health insurance, ask what is the cash discount rate. I don't know, again, I'm only speaking for the US, what it would, what that would be like outside. But so I don't know. I'm going to be super honest. I don't know what oncotyping is, but I know it's super expensive.
Okay. No, fair enough. And I mentioned that because, again, the elephant in the room is that, obviously in the United States, people go bankrupt, people lose their homes, people are making life and death decisions based on their bank account more than these requests. So when someone says to you, hey, I want to get a test, and that test is, $14,000, someone might go, you know what, I can't afford that test. So they go without that information. They go without. So I it's just important. I wanted to make sure that people understand some of the decisions that you have to make, because I guarantee you, people will look at that differently if you literally don't have the money. So please don't continue. So 0% anything happening. You started to go into another direction of what you wanted to do. Where did you dug into some information? Tell me a little bit about what that information.
I did. So after, chemotherapy has been ruled out, radiation therapy has been ruled out, and I declined hormone suppression therapy based on the side effects being greater than I was willing to accept. So as you might imagine, my doctors were in a little bit of a panic mode. And I said, I don't care. It's my body anyway, but I can say that very lightly now. But so what I said to myself is, well, what are you going to do? And of course, I'm doing research online about, what's available to me. And I came across, and I super meant to look this up. It's called FABNO. It's FABNO. And it's, I think, the Federation American Board of Naturopathic Oncologists. I think. Don't hold me to that. I'm not sure entirely that's what. I know the NO is Naturopathic Oncologist, and said, well, I wonder if they might be able to help me at least set myself up for living my best life for however long that is, since I have made this decision. Right. And so I reached out. I actually reached out to 3 of them in succession, was not happy with the first 2. And the third one, who I still see now from time to time, was the one that presents me with as much research as there is to base her recommendations on. And she is the one who said to me, I would like for you to have an epigenetic test done. It's a cheek swab test. You can order it without a doctor's, thank you, Courtney. You can order it without a doctor's order. It also means that, at least in the US, your health insurance doesn't cover it. So it's about somewhere between $250 and $300 US. The one that I chose, there are several now, but the one that I chose was 3x4genetics.com. It's a cheek swab test. I do not get any money for telling anybody about this. But it takes about 3 weeks to get your results back, and it shows what does your specific body need in order to have optimal health. Now, she said this to me. She said, I'd like to at least have it guide us. So it's basically, if people have heard the term concierge medicine, it's like, what does my specific body need? And my genetics, my DNA is guiding the work that we do together. So I said, when she said it's kind of expensive, and of course, I was like, what are we talking about here? And she said, it's about $300. And I went, oh, okay. All right. I can squeeze that out of my budget. That I can do. So I had that done in early November of 2022. And when it came back in late November of 2022, she called me up. She said, well, I can tell you why you developed cancer. Oh, wow. And my immediate response was, great. Then we know what to do about it. And she said, you're missing 2 SNPs, 2 SNPs off your DNA, and that is responsible for the second part of detoxification. So the first part is, let's say I put on some lipstick and it has some fun chemicals in it, and I absorb that, and my body goes, ew, and it breaks those down, and something, second stage, is supposed to come, attach appropriate things to it, and sweep it out of your body. My body does the first stage great. It makes rubble like nobody's business. Second stage, it's like, oh, look at that. There's rubble sitting there. We don't know what to do about that. And so what it was doing was it was attaching estrogen, whose purpose is to make things grow, to those broken down bits. and making them grow.
Making
So
it
where this loops back to is, had I done the chemotherapy, which fills your body with toxins, it would have actually been the thing that would have killed me, because my body would have made cancer out of all of it. And so, yeah. So that was like okay. So that was absolutely the right decision to make for me. So that,
like, you literally would have been feeding your body. You would turn your body into a cancer creating thing. Yeah. It would actually be just,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That is.
So every single time I put lotion on or sunscreen or products on my hair, on my face, anything, I was giving my body ways to make cancer. Now, that is my specific story. I'm not saying that's for anybody else. What I will say is, knowing that information helped me shift from viewing this as a fear-based approach to saying, this is how I talk about it. Cancer isn't the big scary thing that we all think it is. It is scary to have something and not know what to do about it. But it is actually, for my body specifically, I was living and doing things in a way that made my body hospitable for cancer growth. And once I knew that, I made changes to make my body inhospitable for cancer growth.
Oh, I love it. Let's stop right there for 2 seconds. Let me absorb that for a second, because again, you made some really unbelievably key decisions because of information that you dug up. You got some tests and stuff, and then you find out, after the fact, that literally that would have been not only detrimental or neutral to detrimental, but you would have turned your body into a machine that was making and reproducing this cancer even faster than probably what was naturally, if you want to call it that, happening in your body as it was. Yeah. Again, I think I'm trying to imagine anyone listening to this right now that this is the process of learning, understanding, having the courage and the bluntness to ask these questions and to push back and to get some tests that probably aren't very well known. Just whatever you think is going to work for you. So again, this is why we wanted to share this story and do it in the right way. You're really blowing people's minds, I'll tell you that. Getting lots of wows and oh my gods and all that kind of stuff. And I agree with every single comment here. Is that, again, it's just opens.
Thank you, Melody.
It just opens the eyes to say, okay, we really need to figure out a way to share this information. I know it's out there. Mm-hmm. The same. It's not the same than hearing it from you than versus just pushing towards, hey, go read this journal, go read this white paper, or whatever the case would be.
Yeah.
So, let's just stop right there, because we're going to go into the lifestyle part. I know that you dug up some information on lifestyle and stuff like that, but in the meantime, we still got to bring somebody on who wants to say hello to you. Look at this lovely person.
Hello, Miss Jacqueline.
Hello, darling. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Finally, I've been waiting for this day. You don't understand.
That's fantastic,
right? So excited. Oh, you know what? I have been so blessed, Peter, like you, that, Elaine is in my, when I say close circle of friends, we could probably be roommates without any problem. And so I've been following along this process with her since before it started, and obviously all the way through. And it's been so remarkable. And she's been sitting on this. So this is like breaking news. I hope everybody realizes this. Like, you are the first person she's really shared this with in a public forum. And, you'll see in the comments, I literally put, "Where's the book, Elaine? Where's the book?" I keep saying this to her. Where's the book? This is like a manual on how to do cancer, because there's so many elements to the story that people miss on so many levels. Like, just as simple as, do they test on a redhead? Like we're all so different, and people don't realize it's not like you just have breast cancer and it doesn't affect the rest of your body. It's a whole body experience and thing going on. And Elaine, I bow down to this woman for your courage, your clarity, knowing exactly what direction you were going to go and always knowing it was right. This is where we talk about, intuition, and you want to talk about intelligence. We talk about AI intelligence all the time right now, but Elaine's intelligence for all parts of her body, physically, emotionally, mentally, and most of all, that heart-centered intelligence, which is knowing what was right for her and listening to that and always letting that be her guidance. And that's a remarkable journey and gift to see. So thank you, my sister. You're an amazing human being. Shout out.
What do you think of that, my good friend here? I know you guys share a wonderful friendship that's not seen as it is right this very second. You have to spend a lot of time together offline and stuff. What does it feel like to hear that? It must be pretty cool.
Jacqueline has been such an amazing support for me. I know I shared a photo with you of me sitting in the waiting room waiting to go in for my biopsies. I took that picture and sent it to Jacqueline. And she was supportive of me that day, because it was during COVID. I had to be there by myself, and so I reached out and I was like, Jacqueline, this is me. And, she said beautiful things back to me. Jacqueline has been amazing and so supportive of me, and I'm so grateful. So thank you.
Oh, that is amazing. And Jacqueline Way, I want to add that, again, the work that you do with, Give, obviously, with 365 and I know that, of course, now you have Elaine as part of your board, if I'm not mistaken. And
perfect person for this. She joined our board this past year, and the contribution she's already making has just been remarkable for us.
Absolutely fantastic. So, I wanted to bring you together just as a quick little surprise for you, Elaine, and not more importantly, but just as importantly of this story, there's other things that you guys are working on and collaborating with. So I want to give you a little bit of time right now just to throw out something you're working on right this second. And please share a little bit more about that for us so that we can steer people in the right direction for something that's coming up.
Absolutely. Well, I think we'll both do this a little bit. So, Peter, I think this could have been one of the ways you and Elaine connected when you said, I'm not sure when we connected, but, for a lot of people here on LinkedIn, I have a charitable organization called 365 which I've had for over 15 years now. And it really started as a simple parenting project between my son and I. Long story we're not going to go into. This personal parenting project turned into a global giving movement. And one of the ways I've been so blessed is the community and the family here on LinkedIn. And Peter, you've been part of it since day one, has been part of it since day one. But we did a movement here called Do One Give, and doing it together, not just because of Do One Give Day, but the amount of people. Peter, you're such a key advocate for this. That's always talking about kindness. The amount of kindness organizations know how they are. Organizations, they have such a strong LinkedIn community together. And right now, obviously, the world is at a very interesting place, shall we say. And what we know is that, the best way to fight war is with peace, and love, and kindness, and generosity. And that's of coming together. Well, what better way to come together right now is that together and make a difference. Elaine, can you still see me? Oh, we're popping in and out a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
It's showing people that together we can create change. We're good? Okay. We can make a difference, and we can do little things every day that make a huge difference in our world. So we're doing a campaign. The week of April 21st, we're doing a campaign called Together We Can. And kindness counts. That's what this is all about, is that even our smallest actions, when done individually, can make a huge impact together. Oh, Lord, we never thought of it's already, y'all can't see it yet, but it's coming. It is blown up on the back end of LinkedIn. We have not only one LinkedIn group, we now have 2 LinkedIn groups. It may even move to 3 LinkedIn groups because of the amount of people that would like to be involved, would like to be part of it. and would like to really show people the ripple that's possible in this world. So that's the overall short. Elaine, what did I miss?
No, you did fantastic. And we are just so excited. So for anyone who wants to be involved, follow the hashtag kindness counts. And we would love to have you support it. And we are just super excited about everyone who's involved and so grateful.
Kindness counts.
And reach out if you want to be part of us. Yeah. The hashtag is going to be kindness counts. Yeah. The campaign will be called Together We Can. And if you'd like to be involved, just let us know. You can reach out to Elaine or I, and
I'm just going to put you there right now. Yeah, and I do. You know what? I apologize. I didn't. Why is it not showing here? But your hashtags and stuff here. But this second. But I want people to hear that. So April 21st, is it that week?
April 24th. It's the week. Yeah, we're going to do it over the course of the week. And so it doesn't matter. Anywhere you are in the world, you can be part of this. It's as simple as just literally creating a post, something that you've done that's small, that shows kindness, generosity, giving, whatever works for you. It can be to the planet. You could be picking up garbage. You could be going and helping a stray animal. You could be doing a shout out or sending love to a friend. You could be reviewing a small business. Just show people what you do, because this is what people don't realize is people will say, oh, I don't want to post about that. But when you do, that's the ripple. Because even me witnessing a small act of kindness or generosity that you have done, that ripples to 3 people. 3 more people. So your impact continues to grow even after just one post. And that's why we say post it, show people, or share a story, do a positive post. Any of those things count. But it does create a ripple. It has a big impact.
It does so. So no, I'm glad. I know I've been included in all. I've seen a lot, so many. I'm sorry I haven't kept up. I just anyway,
no, you can't keep up. It's crazy.
It's catching fire, and I really wanted to make sure that people know that again. These stories, this is how they all intertwine with each other. I mean, Elaine gets to tell her story, and then that becomes an ambassadorship of being kind and compassionate and sharing information, and then ends up working with you and 365 Give, and it's all intertwined. It's all networked together. So everybody, I hope again what you can do if you want to learn more about this right this second, just go to LinkedIn. Of course, if you're listening on LinkedIn, and if not, you can go to 365 Give as well. So 365give.ca. You can go there. So one way or the other, you can get a hold of Jacqueline. She'll figure it out. And or Elaine, you can jump on LinkedIn as well and do that. Thank you so much for joining us, my fine friend.
I'm so glad I could be here. And I wanted to make that one note, Peter. Elaine said at the very beginning of the conversation, and she said, I wanted to make sure that everything I had done in my life, it mattered. I touched people. This woman, because she's still alive today and all that she's been through, this campaign, she's literally going to touch hundreds of thousands of people. And girlfriend, we needed you here for this. So thank you for being our rock and staying alive for all of this time, because you impact us all. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. Now, Jacqueline, if I do watch you, stick around, we'll talk to you afterwards. If not, if I see you duck away to have to go run and do what you normally do, we'll catch up real soon. Okay. Thank you for taking the time to see
everybody.
We appreciate it so much. Oh, what a good friend you have there.
Yes.
A good friend you have, right? Well, I have too, actually. I feel blessed to be part of, consider calling her a friend as well. And I'll leave right there. You can see Jacqueline's LinkedIn, so you can connect that 365 Give. So I just wanted to do that. And I know you guys are close friends, and she's been part of this journey for you and so on. So I hope that was a nice little interlude, little break.
Yes. Thank you. That was so fun. That's
fantastic. I appreciate that. So let's just jump right back into it. I mean, there's a few other people here that have commented, so I'm going to throw up a couple things here for you. Let me just put this in. Oh, we got Asha. Gosh, there's so many people just really like you for some reason here.
I don't know why.
Right?
Thank you.
This is so good, and I appreciate everyone kind of tuning in. I want to give a shout out.
Oh, Kelsey, love Kelsey. She's a former coworker of mine.
Fantastic. Asha, good to see you, Asha. Good to see you. You're doing some cool things over there with happiness and stuff. We'll have to talk about that a little bit. Here's some information for you again about the dates. So 21 to 24, kindness counts. Putting that up, Courtney. We appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Courtney.
And there's Asha again. Yeah, there you go. See?
Thank you, Asha.
Coming in to see you. Yeah, there's again, affecting so many people and such a positive thing. I love this stuff. And this is the point of having these kinds of to interact with people and sending this message out to the world. Let's jump back to where we were. You basically got to the point now. Okay, I need to make a lifestyle change. I need direction. You read a book, and then you started some really interesting things. So let's dig into that. What did you read, and then what did you start designing as your way to again, integrating health and wellness and holistic approaches to your healing? Tell me about that.
Absolutely. So my naturopathic oncologist, she said, well, normally I work adjacent to a medical oncologist. And I told her, I said, well, it's on you. Do your best. No pressure. So she recommended that I read a book. And I think you have a picture of the book. It's called The Radical Remission. And it's written by a research scientist who went out and interviewed people who were told by the medical community that they weren't likely to survive, and interviewed them with, what things do you think that you did that had the biggest impact on you still being alive and being healthy today? And she determined that there were 9 consistent factors. Obviously there are different things for different people. Some people feel that, doing certain things also helps them, but she was looking for what was the consistency across all the hundreds of people that she did the research on. And so there's the 9 different things, and it was a guiding place for me to start looking at what should I do in addition to what my naturopathic oncologist recommended based on my epigenetic testing. So there's the book, and it's who I also submitted my story to. You have to wait until you've been 3 years. They call it, I think it's no residual disease, in order to submit your story. So that was a big step for me. In February, I sent that in and was having a little and messaged Peter and told him about it. And he was gracious enough to say, well, would you care to share your story before? And I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm a pretty private person, so this is a really big deal for me. But going back to that positive impact that I want to have for the rest of my life is, whose life can I help by sharing this story, is the reason why I'm doing it. So thank you, Peter, for inviting me and encouraging me to do this.
No, fantastic. I really appreciate that. And this book, I see the little subtitle there of the 9 key factors. Now, obviously, there's 9 key factors. So that everyone has its own special novelty of how it works and a uniqueness to it. Was there any one particular thing that jumped out at you? Any one of those was the most impactful, or are they all they're just like an ingredient? Does it work like that? Or is there one thing that might be more applicable to you? Maybe another person, another one might be more applicable. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I will say, obviously, one of them is having a strong reason to live. And for someone who has children or is maybe taking care of an ailing parent or something, that's probably going to be a bigger factor in your life, because I don't have children. So I will say yes. I do think it makes a difference what factors are in someone's life when they're going along on a cancer journey. I will say for me, because this was, as I like to say, this was my chemotherapy. This was my opportunity to stay alive, was what can I do to help myself be as healthy as possible and optimize my health for however long I have left, so that I can have that positive impact on others around me. So the book was really pivotal. I will say another book that I read was 𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗵. I have to say that slowly. I'm going to tell you a funny little joke. When I said to my mom, I said crispy cancer, and she said crispy cancer. And I said, no, not like soggy cancer, like crispy cancer. So he was very young when he was diagnosed with a very basically terminal diagnosis of, I believe it was colon cancer. And so obviously a different cancer, but that was where I learned one of the things, which was cancer cells aren't actually that strong. They are so dependent on sugar intake that if you do 2 things, one is you fast for at least 13 hours between your dinner and your breakfast. And by fasting, I do not mean dehydrate yourself. You still drink water or unsweetened tea that's not caffeinated, obviously, because you're trying to sleep, but you still drink water, you still hydrate, but you do not ingest any other form of nutrition for 13 hours. And the reason why that's important is because at the 12-hour mark, if cancer cells don't have sugar to easily feed on, they start to get weaker just by themselves. And then your immune system can actually start to take care of them without any additional medical intervention. Which when I heard that, I went, oh, hey, that's something I can do while I'm waiting to hear whether or not I'm going to stay alive. And so if an analogy helps, and I'm really sorry, apologizing to the entire flock of hummingbirds on the planet, they're beautiful birds. But as we all know, since we feed them, our high sucrose, high glucose feeder solutions, they need that frequently. Otherwise, they get weak and they die. So if you think of your cancer cells as like little hummingbirds, they need sugar super frequently. They need that highly easily digestible sugar intake in order to stay alive. So again, I apologize to hummingbirds. I think they're beautiful birds. But that was the image that I had in my brain of, okay, I need to starve the cells, and that's something that I can do that has no real side effects other than, well, maybe I'm a little hungry, but I'm sleeping, so it's okay. So the 13 hours of fasting was something that was really, really important that I learned through the 𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗵. Again, I'm going to say that carefully. He has a website and a book. Yeah, 𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗵. The other thing is that, and this is specific to women with breast cancer, so I do not know how applicable it is to other types of cancer, but I want to share it anyway because I do think it probably does have some applicability. I just don't have the research to support it. And that is for women who exercise in any way, exercise for at least 30 minutes a day, 6 to 7 days a week, they are 50% less likely to have reoccurrence of their cancer at the 5-year mark than women who don't. So for me, I said, oh, that's another thing I can do. I can get out and I can walk. So getting out walking, you can do yoga. Doesn't seem to matter what the movement is, but as I translate that for anyone out there who's wanting to improve their health, if we're moving, our immune system is stronger. We have stronger immune system cells that are working for us. And so then if you add that to the fasting and of course, reduce your sugar intake, those three things together can really help support your body not being hospitable for cancer growth.
Wow, that is. I've heard this about the sugar, and I don't think I don't think that's rare. It's not necessarily to do with just breast cancer, correct? I mean, it's all cancer cells are seeking that.
Yes.
So the idea that you can fast. I mean, like you said, that's something you can control when you fast. You can control the walking part or the exercise part, and the data that you just said there. I want to emphasize again. 50% after 5 years, it has 50% less chance of coming back after 5 years if you stick to that regimen of 6 to 7 days of regular exercise, correct?
Yeah, regular exercise.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, it's funny, not funny, but it's almost funny, strange when we talk about anything to do with mental health, wellness, our bodies, all that kind of stuff. It always comes back to this move, act physically, move, get off the computers. And I mean, here we are. I know we're on a computer now to share this information. But the point is that we all can control how much we move, how much we get around. If you happen to sit at a desk all day, then you have to plan that extra hour or 45 minutes or whatever it is in the morning or in the evening. But it's funny how we make time for things that matter to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it to you and you are trying to battle this thing, here are the tips. Is there a couple other things that really stand out for you? So those are 3 great ones right there. I'm going to say obviously drinking tons of water, staying hydrated, because you talked about Fasting, you don't want to dehydrate yourself. You just want to stay away from the sugars and things like that. Anything else that was on that list that was a really consistent thing for you? Exercising, cutting out sugars, fasting. I'm thinking sleep must have played a role. Is there a couple other things that you say you got to get on this track to help yourself?
Yes. So sleep, interestingly, at least for breast cancer, again, I want to be super clear. That's where I know the research from, but sleep 7 to 9 hours a night, not more, not less. Too much is not good as well, and too little is also not good. So I will say this is the one that I struggle with still a lot, but the 7 to 9 hours of sleep is super important. My naturopathic oncologist also recommended for the mental well-being, because your mental health has a huge impact on your immune system as well. 20 minutes of meditation. So I use a meditation app. There are several really good ones out there. Some of them are even covered by people's employers here in the US. So I do recommend that as well. And then of course, the big one is the diet. It is super important. I wrote down, because I'm super infamous for not being able to remember who said a quote. So I was like, I'm going to be prepared this time. So Anne Wigmore said, "The food that you eat can be the safest and most powerful form of medicine, or the slowest form of poison."
Wow. That just makes so much sense to me. Yeah. It's just, I mean, I think of any exercise programs I've ever read about or spoke to anyone about or participated in, or when you ask them, what's the secret, say you're trying to get fit and lean and things, it's 80% diet. They always seem to have a really high percentage of saying it's what you eat, and combined with these other exercise programs and things like that. But if, obviously if you're eating all the wrong things, it's garbage in, garbage out. That's what it is. Right. And I don't think that this is, it feels like it's quite, well, of course. But I think what ends up happening is that it becomes keenly obvious when it happens to you. So in your case, you're thinking, okay, I want to live. They told me I'm probably not going to. I'm going to do everything and if that means I have to cut out sugar, then you're going to cut out sugar. Just as a one line, I have a really good friend that I've known for multiple decades. He's a really good friend of mine. He lives in Eastern Canada, and he was diagnosed with stage 4 bone cancer, believe it or not. Told to go home, get his affair in orders. I'll condense this story. Long story short, he that day decided, I'm just changing my lifestyle. So he cut out all the sugars, alcohol, these kinds of things, and lived off generally these kinds of shakes, if you will. So just regular shakes, but I mean shakes with everything in it, fruits and vegetables and all kinds of stuff like that. And right now he is in remission and completely turned it around. Just they can't seem to figure out why. And body responded very well to the lifestyle change. So that's why I wanted to mention that, because we could transform our bodies quicker than you think. So that's those some amazing things. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so to tie up the little loose end there. So the end of November is when I heard what I needed to do. And by January 18 of 2023, so less than 2 months later, I was in full remission.
Wow. See, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And, again, I'm trying to go back to the beginning of this conversation where you were sharing, this, hey, you got 10% chance, 18 months, even if you do it, that 10%, one way or the other, and all of the decision-making and information that you had to decide on. And then on top of that, you had to do again what you just talked about there with Radical Remission, that book, implement these things. So there's a big doing part. Obviously there's still there's a big doing part to all of this. I think there's so much to tell about this story. So you have, I hope we're touching on enough that will encourage people to, first of all, if they have any questions, I'm thinking hopefully on LinkedIn, they'll connect with you somehow, some way. I hope, encourage you. I hope you'll start writing some little articles that you can share. And maybe those articles turn into a book. And the next thing people are pretty excited about, the idea that they can really change something that is obviously very, very difficult to hear. You know, a diagnosis that you might not be here, and you can turn that around. Let's talk about just the whole idea of, and because you at the beginning of this, when I said you got the diagnosis, you said, "Wow, did I really live?" And I thought that was so. I just want to ask you about that, about facing, you know, this mortality thing. You know, you were told 18 months, you know, 10%, all of those we just talked about. How does hearing that? I'm just thinking, how does your brain process? How did that reshape how you think about time and life, and you know what mattered? What did that do to you?
I think it really does change how I focus now on what's a priority, what's most important to me. I think it really has shifted for me on where do I want to invest my time. So I will say, as a general, like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but I'm not, that I was super active on LinkedIn, and I loved supporting people and just helping support people doing amazing work like you. That was really important to me. And having to say, okay, I need to not only advocate in my medical appointments, but I need to advocate for how I spend my time. And I will tell you, Peter, one of the things that echoed back to me, which was interesting, was when you were so kind to invite me on your show before, about 5 years ago. You had asked me a question. Would you, and I can't remember exactly how you asked it, but which would you prefer, more time or more money? And I said more time, because you can always earn more money. And that was something that echoed back to me of, now I'm being faced with, I'm being told 18 months, but there's no guarantee that I'll even have that amount of time. And I shared with you that I had booked, it was going to be my first trip on my own, and I was going to go to Ireland. And I had booked it for the first week of September of 2022. And instead, I was recovering from my surgery. And so I had rescheduled it to May of 2023, not knowing if I was even going to still be alive then. And so being able to take that trip, and I will tell you, I was scared. I was scared to take that trip because, you know, when you travel, you cannot eat all the things, because I eat all the good things. You know, cruciferous vegetables and I are very close friends. I like to joke that my diet now is, Elaine, if you like it, you should never eat it again. And if you don't like it, you should have 15 servings every single day. And sometimes I go to put something in my face and I'm like, and I think, Elaine, this is your chemotherapy. And this will not cause chemo brain fog. So put it in your face and chew it up and eat it right now. So I was really scared to take that trip from the standpoint of, was that going to be the tipping point that would take me back into having cancer growth in my body? And I came back and I had another, and I meant to say on that January 18 date, how I knew I was in full remission was I had what's called a minimum residual disease test, or a circulating tumor cells blood test. And they take a sliver of your cancer that they remove from you, and they test your blood sample at regular intervals during what's supposed to be during your treatment, to see, does your blood have any of those cancer cells? And mine came back with a 0. My naturopath told me, she said, I've never had someone come back with a 0. They don't even talk to us about how to handle that, because it doesn't happen. And she said, but I've also never had a patient who has done absolutely everything. And I said, well, when you tell me either you do all the things, or, well, you already know you're on your way to your 18 months. It's pretty motivating. So I had another circulating tumor cells blood test when I came back from Ireland, and it was still 0. And I was like, okay, all right. So I have a little bit of wiggle room, because that's what I will tell you. I still don't know. I still don't know what's the wiggle room for me, because I will say, my mom asked me, she said, when can you go back to eating normally again? And I said, Mom, I can go back to eating normally again when I want to have cancer again.
Wow. Whoa. Yes. Wow. Wow. That's, yeah. Boom. That's a mind. Yeah. Do I want to go back there again? Everything you are talking about here, I'll just mention this just from my own perspective, because I've not had, thankfully, not this journey that you've been on, but I've been on a heart journey, and the mindset and the conversation and the languaging is similar. That is for sure. And to your point, it's like, should you be doing that, Peter, or should you be consuming that or doing this or doing that? It's like, well, yeah, if you want your heart to work, maybe you should do that, and to your point, it's like, when are you ready for that? Well, I'm ready for it when I want to heal. I'm ready for it when, or I'm doing that knowing that that's pointing you in that chemo direction. That's putting you in special care direction. You have to have these mindset conversations with yourself. So I'm hearing a lot of what you're saying in my own head, in my own conversations. And that's why I'm hoping that people will pull from this, is that we are talking about breast cancer, but when you face your own mortality, the conversations are different inside here. Mm-hmm. They really, really are. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm so glad you got to go to Ireland. Isn't Ireland the coolest? I mean, Ireland is the coolest. I'm sorry. I got to say that one more time. Ireland, I'm calling you. Like I just did my St. Patty's Day. I do an annual thing every St. Patty's Day. I love that stuff. So speaking of things I shouldn't do, my liver is Irish. So of course I could be, I might have had.
Yes, Peter, in case you're wondering, alcohol is not on the list. It is a carcinogen if we're talking about stuff. But anyway,
let's be clear. I'm not saying to do that. That's why I'm chuckling to myself when you're saying like, yeah, you got to do this, you got to do that. I go, the St. Patty's Day. I just played music. That's all I did. I just played music. That's all we did. It was a lot of fun. But I'm so glad you got a chance to go to Ireland. I mean, what a place is that? I mean, it just, again, another thing for your soul, though, in the healing process of healing and wanting to, feel better. I mean, traveling, that doesn't it? Traveling just.
Love traveling. I will tell you. So in 2025, I went to Australia and did two things that I'd never done before. This has been my goal now, is I do something new that pushes me out of my comfort zone every single month, because I am going to fully live for the rest of my life. The other thing is one of my life goals is I will go to a new international place every single year from now until I, am not able to. Let's just put it that way. And two things that I did in Australia was, one, I held a koala, which is going to always be one of the highlights of my entire existence. Like, loved that experience. And then I decided I needed to do one more thing that will be a once in a lifetime experience. And that is that I did skydiving.
I love it. I'm going to whip some of these pictures here, have a quick peek at that. totally relate to the koala thing. I did Australia, and I've done that, and I so get what you mean by it. You're like, is this for real? It is literally a breathing little teddy bear. Little tiny teddy bear that is breathing and moving, and you're like, are you kidding me? It's so cool. I'm so glad you had that.
So what precious.
Right? It is a cool experience. I love that experience as well. So, hey, let's have a quick peek at some of that stuff. Life goes on. Here you are. I mean, you can't get a better picture than that. I mean, that's called living.
Yes, that is called living.
Living right there. And there's your other. I know. I appreciate you. You sent me those pictures yesterday and said I want to share. I asked you if you could send me some stuff, and I appreciate you sharing these. Look at that. I mean, they are something, aren't they? That little soul. And with this, I'm just going to go scroll pretty quick. Just give us a couple one-liners here for each one of these.
This is Cotswolds in England. I went there. Yeah.
I've just been to the UK in November. I so love the UK. I so love to do that.
Absolutely beautiful.
I can't lie. I got to always be honest with you. I'm a pub guy, so I love going into the old pubs. 1542. You walk into a place and it's like, when was this here? Oh, so we started since 1730. So you're like, what? It's so.
Yes, it's amazing.
There's Ireland. That Ireland.
This is Ireland. This is Ireland. I hiked up to the top of a little mountain there, and the tour guide took this picture of me. And this is me fully living and saying, I am still alive, and I am taking my Ireland trip. And I was just so happy.
Oh, I so get that. Believe me, the soul works really well there. I think that's over. Is that Niagara? Is that where that is?
Yeah, it's Niagara. That's from the Canadian side. So the better view, looking back towards the US side. Yes. A lovely Korean tourist took this picture of me because I was on the tour by myself. This is actually about 3 weeks before I was diagnosed.
Oh, wow. Just before. Wow. Look at that. That's a pretty cool pic. I don't know where that is. That's super cool. Like, I just love the concept of it. Where's this one? Where's this? Oh, sorry. Let's go back to this one. Where is this one?
Yeah, this one is Cape May, New Jersey. This was actually about 2 weeks after my second surgery. A friend invited me to come out to the coast. The weather was really nice. And I saw this butterfly, and the sign above it says victorious. And I will tell you, this was before I knew that I was going to be okay. This was between when I took the test and got the test results back. And I stood under that victorious sign and said, take my picture.
Wow, good for you. Good for you. Where's this one? Where's this one? I didn't
Southern California. I went to see my family for Christmas, and that was the sunset and saying, I'm still alive. I'm going to be okay. But this was before I got the first test result. This is my experience going to New York City for my last job. I was invited to go and do a full day leadership workshop in New York City at the New York Stock Exchange building. And just saying, all right, I'm going to do the big scary thing. And I'm going to go into New York City where I'd never been and deliver this full day workshop, and had a great time. And just staying alive and doing awesome things. This was for my 50th birthday. My mom and I went to celebrate our birthdays. She was 80, and this was when I was 50. And we went to Kauai together to celebrate our birthdays. And this for me was, I am in full remission, and I'm celebrating with my sweet mama.
Brilliant. I love that. Kauai is awesome. Excuse me. Isn't that a cool little, I love that island. Little one road goes all the way around it. It's anyway. Who's this little soul? Who's this?
This is my baby niece who I got to see because I'm still alive. This is my brother's littlest girl. This is in Southern California, as you can probably see from the beach. But I was holding her. She was fussy, and Auntie Elaine put her to sleep.
There you go. There you go. What's with this? I see the crown and the pose. So I'm not sure.
So in the fully living category, I went on a girls' trip with one of my really good friends from college. She lives near Seattle, and we went to a tea house because we like to do tea, and we had the full tea service, and they had a theater area, and they were selling some of their theater production accessories. And so I tried on a couple of tiaras, and I have to tell you, if you push hard enough, I can show you that I still have that tiara.
It still fits. It still fits. So
and it still fits. Yes.
Are you a golfer, or is this just you just trying? But do you golf? Do you golf? Yeah.
I don't regularly. I will tell you that I'm either somewhat confused or kind of ambidextrous. So I've never bought clubs because I can hit stronger with my right hand, but I hit straighter with my left hand.
Wow. So you can go either
I can go either way, but I did Topgolf was one of my new things. I went with one of my friends in California, and we did Topgolf.
There you go. I mean, that's what it's about. It's just who's this little soul? It's not the same one, obviously. Somebody else.
No, this is not the same one. This is the older of my brother's two little girls, and we were, of course, at the beach. And she's leaping over the great big scary waves while I stand there going, it's a little cold on my legs.
I love it. Brilliant. Where was this? There's obviously a meaning behind it.
Yes, this is in South Carolina, where I am now, right before I started the job where Courtney and I work together. So this is me saying, I'm doing the new thing.
Good for
you. I
you.
moved to South Carolina.
Good for you. Good for you. That's the picture I think you told me about before that you sent to Jacqueline, is it not? Yeah.
Jacqueline. Yeah. Yep. I sent you the picture. I said I'm waiting to go in for my biopsies. And as you can, of course, tell by the beautiful mask, this was during COVID. So this was July 14, 2022.
A tough time. Look at this. So you were gearing up to go, or is this after?
I was. No, this was indoor skydiving. And when I was diagnosed, I said, I'm going to go indoor skydiving because I don't know if I'll be alive long enough to do outdoor skydiving. And so I went to an iFly and did indoor skydiving, despite the fact that I will tell you that was pretty painful to have that jumpsuit on because of the biopsies and stuff. But I was like, nope, I'm going to fully live. And there I am.
Wow. And that's the messaging here. That is for sure. That's a great picture right there. That's a great picture. Where's that?
This is in New Jersey when I was living over there to get my name changed done. Actually, I moved over to New Jersey to take the name Glencoe. And this was celebrating the beautiful snow that we were having there. I love rain and I love snow, and just so happy to be alive to experience it.
I think that's the message of these pictures here. It's just it's good to be alive. Who's this?
Oh, this is Prince Charming. Yes. I'm sure that the moment I give this one a kiss, it's going to turn into something. This is in Rhode Island, and I thought this was funny. And so this is me again, just saying I get to be playful because I'm still alive.
I think that's what it is. And there's your example of being playful. I think it's funny, we don't allow ourselves as we get older to be, I'll speak for myself. I don't allow myself to be silly enough. I just don't allow myself. And that is it's true when I say it that way, is that it's only ourselves that stops from, having those childlike feelings. And I don't know why we have to wait for something to knock us aside the head. And I don't know what it is. I don't know. Yeah. But I love it. Like you said, if you walk by a park, when you were younger, you would just always find yourself to the swings or do something. Yeah. But, as soon as you hit a certain age, you just, I don't know. Anyway, it's so nice to see you doing that. And where's this? This looks like an amazing spot. Where was this?
This is on top of Hanging Rock in North Carolina. I was accused by the friend who I went with that I was taking them on a death march, but went on top of the rock. Totally terrified them because I went out on the rock, and you can see by my hair it was pretty windy. They were a little afraid that the last picture I was ever going to have taken of me was me sailing off said rock, but it was a beautiful view and a beautiful day. I was going to say, Peter, this is something that I remind myself of when I start to take life too seriously, is this is our life. This isn't a dress rehearsal for our life.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I so resonate with that.
So I love that you play music. I love that you do St. Patty's Day things. I think it's amazing, all the events that you do, and that you pour yourself into it. And again, I'm going to do the thing you don't want me to do. And I'm just going to say, for everyone who is watching, if you need any service that Peter provides, reach out to him, because excellence, I am serious, is the word that describes how he does everything. And he is not only amazing at all of this that he does, but he's also a wonderful musician.
Thank you. And then that's enough. Stop it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm gonna have to hire someone like you to talk about me. That's for sure. No, I appreciate that very much. Again, doing this is, I get a ton of benefit too. So my heart fills when I'm able to, allow somebody or help somebody, a platform where I know that somebody's going to be affected by this somehow, some way. Someone's going to hear the aha moment. They're going to research that book, and not even that specific book, but maybe a book, and maybe from that book go somewhere else. And this is the gist of what we're talking about here, is that, when you are dealing with something like any kind of cancer, breast cancer, it doesn't matter what the case may be. It's a journey, and boy, it's one that has all these emotions tied to it, and all these other factors. Family. You talked about these decisions. You have to tell people, the medical people that you're dealing with. Going back and forth when it comes to educating yourself, and this is important. This is what we're doing right now is important, and what you're doing right now is sharing. I know it's very personal to share it, but again, somebody's going to hear it, and that's why I'm glad we had an opportunity to do this. It's such a joy to talk to you. It always is. I mean, it's just unbelievable how nice it is to talk to you, and I'm so glad that everything is kind of moving in the right direction for you now. I mean, what would you say to anyone right this second? Let's leave them with something. Maybe they're a little scared, they're a little lost. Maybe they're advising somebody. It could be a number of those things, but anytime we're sharing our story, it's quite applicable. We're very close to it and we can see it. But for someone watching right now They might be scared and overwhelmed, and maybe they're newly diagnosed. Maybe that, maybe in the first few weeks and when you first heard about it and stuff. What would you want them to know about, this journey they're about to take or that they're on? What would you want them to know the most that will help them get to where you are?
That's a fantastic question, Peter. Thank you for that. I think what comes to mind is there's like I don't want to call it devotional, but like something you can read each day from Chris Beat Cancer. He talks about, for people who say, I'm not going to let cancer change me. The thing is, he said, you're missing out then. This is going to be a powerful journey that you're going to go on. And I am not saying I wish it on anybody at all, but everything, and you know this from your cardiac issues as well with your heart, if you allow it to clarify life for you, if you allow it to change how you focus, how you live your life, so that you can truly share your light into our world. I like to say that our world is a beautiful kaleidoscope of all the colors, and we need everybody's color hue. And so if you say, I'm not saying again that I wish this on anybody, but if you're going through something and you can change into that next best version of yourself by allowing it to shape you and clarify for you, you're going to shine an even brighter light in our world, and our world needs that.
Yeah, we sure do, don't we? We need some light. We need some light out there. That's beautifully said. And I hope whoever needed to hear that hears that right this second. And, maybe you can share that if you know somebody that is going through these things. Please, make sure that they hear these kinds of messages and need to be encouraged, maybe to show up. And I know there's lots of people cheering for you, lots of hearts here. We're going to go into the comments, everybody. We'll read every single one of them. So for everybody who's been commenting and sharing with us, we really appreciate that. And I love this message as well. I think you're absolutely, your life isn't a dress rehearsal.
Thank you, Courtney.
Well, just to your point, I can remember that feeling, and I'm just being transparent when I share this, is that I've never been able to get back to the exact feeling of what it's like to almost not be here. And I'm kind of grateful for that. But boy, sometimes I wish I could just get right there so I can remind myself, when you're worrying about the silliest little things and just when you're at that moment where you think you might not be here, boy, that's a powerful moment. And all that you shared here today is just a reminder that we just got to keep moving forward. Stay open to all of the information, live, you said, have a purpose, have something that really defines what you want to be, why you want to be here. And just keep moving forward with it. So I so appreciate everything that you've shared here. I hope everybody has gotten something from this, but before I go, I've asked you this 5 years ago, and I'm thinking now you might answer it differently. So I just thought, you know what, if I don't ask this, I won't sleep tonight.
Well, we can't have that, Peter.
Can't have that. So I really want to know if you could finish this for me. I love my life.
I love my life because it's beautiful. There's so much beauty around, and I will say that this cancer journey has helped me to stop and see the little things, like the picture of me with the snow. I love that feeling of being outside and light, fluffy snowflakes falling on my face and being out in the rain. I love that, and allowing myself to see the beauty, because life is beautiful. We just have to pause and actually recognize it. On my walks, I will say this, I have a little game that I play with myself. What's one thing that I noticed today that I've never seen before. And sometimes I walk the same path over and over and I go, how did I miss that? It's been here obviously this whole entire time. How did I miss that? There is always something beautiful. We just have to look. So I love my life because it's beautiful.
You can't add anything to that. I so resonate with the walking thing because I walk a lot in a very similar area. And I do the same thing. It's funny you mentioned that. I always say, well, what didn't you see last time here, Peter? Like, what do you look around, buddy? I'm always talking to myself. I think I must scare the animals. They must think, what is wrong? But they actually approach me. So I feel very blessed. They are, but I'm always doing the same thing. I always say, what, look up, look side, look around. Meet someone new, which is you that day. Like, meet somebody new. Who's that? Well, that's me. A brand new me today. That's a brand new me. What are we seeing here? So I appreciate what you said there, and I resonate with that because I do the same thing. So I totally get that. I hope people feel the power in that when you're asked the right questions of what can I see new? Well, how can I see the world differently? And that's powerful stuff. I so appreciate you being here. I mean, it's just been awesome. Thank you for sharing your story, and I hope you will continue to do that. And people need to, or if they can, please reach out to you, via LinkedIn and connect with you. And I'm sure they will. And there's been a lot of people here, lots of hearts, lots of wows and ahas and these kinds of things. And if we helped one person today, then
yes,
we've done an amazing job, or you've done an amazing job. So thank you so much. I so appreciate it. And everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to that beautiful soul right there, right over there. I appreciate it so much for you tuning into Red TV. And you know how this thing always ends, right? I mean, just be kind out there, everybody. Just be kind. I mean, that's all you got to do. Just be kind out there. That's what you can do. You can be kind out there. Thank you so much, Elaine. We'll see you on the other side, and we'll be chatting again. And everybody else, listen, you take care of yourself. We'll see you again. Cheers, everybody. Just be kind out there. That's all you have to do. Just be kind out there. I mean, that's all you have to do. Just be kind out there, everybody. I mean, just be kind. That's all you have to do. Just be kind out there, everybody. Hey, just be kind. You know the drill. Just be kind out there, everybody. Just be kind. Just be kind out there, everybody. That's all you have to do, right? Exactly. Just be kind out there, everybody.